hell? Why am I here? I'm here once again, just an hour after waking up. Why do I do this to myself? Son! I have not even yet recovered from my morning headache, dizziness, whatever the fuck is happening to me. But I'm about to give myself a bigger headache. Well, like, why am I talking about something this serious while playing Genshin? It's for me. Look, I need something relaxing for my eyes and ears while I talk about these bitches, because it's gonna make my blood pressure go up, okay? Look. Okay, I had to switch to inventory because, like, characters are gonna interrupt me. I'm kind of late to the party. But just yesterday, I had to catch up with and then watch Ruby and Jodi's sentencing. Because I heard about, like, this case when it first happened, and then I didn't hear much afterwards. So I had no idea. Like, if stuff came out, I didn't know. So I had to catch up. So, just also, not a disclaimer, but just, like, a foreword. Like, I'm coming at this as someone who is both a victim of various forms of abuse. So, like, I mentioned this in, like, the other video I did, but, like, because this is, like, a whole case, I'm just gonna say it again. Like, I was born into and grew up in, like, in DV, SA, around pedos, like, that sort of thing, from, like, when I was a kid up till, like, early adulthood-ish, so that's a good chunk of my life. So there's that, and I'm also, like, religious, which I'm not the same exact, because they're LDS, these bitches, right? I'm Roman Catholic, which is very different, but still, like, it's still, like, a form of Christianity, so I'm still gonna roast them. So just a quick recap for me as well, because, again, I had to catch up and shit, but Ruby Franke is the one who had the YouTube channel. It was called 8 Passengers, right, because it was her husband, and her 6 kids. Which, like, I didn't know existed until this case happened. I didn't even know who she was. Because it's, like, a family vlog thing. And I don't do family... Like, I don't enjoy watching them. I don't get the point of them. The concept is weird to me. I don't touch that shit. But they had like, over 2 million subscribers. I don't know. I don't get it. But during that time, she was, like... I don't know of any physical abuse happening. But there was definitely, like... Her parenting was... at best questionable. Like, one of the things that really stood out to me was that time where her daughter she claimed that her daughter said that she made her own lunch, that she packed her own lunch for school, but apparently she didn't. So her little tiny daughter, who was in elementary, did not have food at school, no lunch. So then the teacher saw that the daughter didn't have lunch, and called, Ruby, the mother. And she was like, well, she said she had food, but she doesn't, so that's kind of her fault. She's gonna have to starve. But also the way she said it, I forgot her exact wording, but she was basically like, oh, I have to quell the teacher's concern for my daughter's lack of food. And I'm like, wait, you're not worried about your daughter? Like, you're not worried about your daughter not having food and starving. You're more concerned with, like, oh, now I have to, like, appease the teachers. No, not appease, but yeah, quell the teacher's concern about my daughter being hungry. Like, that was not. And then there was, like, the other thing. Sorry. Another thing, I think her oldest son's name was Chad. And whatever he did, like, I don't know what he did, but he was sent to some kind of weird sus boot camp type of thing. And then when he came back, apparently he did quote-unquote something. And then his punishment was him not having a room. I know a lot of people say that he just didn't have a bed, but it's not, like, from what he said, it sounded like he didn't have a room either. No room, no bed. He was sleeping on like one of those beanbag things for months. And then his mom, Ruby, was like, oh, maybe you're not ready to have a bed yet, like, because he didn't learn his lesson. Like, I don't know, that was really weird. And then there was a thing about if you don't do your chores, like, this is morning time, right? Like, they haven't had breakfast yet, I guess. Like, oh, if you don't do your chores, you're not going to get any, you're losing your breakfast privileges. Like, what the fuck? Or something like that. Like, she would not hesitate to withhold food. Like, that's like a basic need. Okay, I gotta Hold on, actually I do have to do things in the game, but like, I can't, like, how do you withhold basic, it's not like luxuries, these are things you need for survival. This food and water, girl, I almost said my guy because I'm so used to saying my guy, but like, that's so disgusting, right? That's just her though. And then like her husband Kevin, I think they were separated for a little over a year until this 911 call happened, right? And I think during that time, he wasn't allowed to talk to the kids, have any contact with the kids for whatever reason. I don't think they were divorced at the time. I know he filed for divorce at some point. I don't know. So he wasn't allowed to talk to them. So he has no idea what's going on while he's separated from the rest of the family, right? And when they separate, Ruby is with Jodi Hildebrandt, this bitch, who's somehow worse. Like, they have this company / channel called, like, Connections. And Ruby, like, claimed that she wasn't a business partner, that she was just...
Ad Astra Abyssosque. Welcome to...
I'm sorry, I cut you off. That she wasn't a business partner, but simply that Jodi was her mentor, because she was paying Jodi to be her mentor, like a customer, basically. I'm like, I didn't think you weren't just a customer, you were in her videos. Like, what are you talking about? But okay. Like, that's not the most important part. But Jodi apparently had a history of, and this is because like the niece came out and started talking about how Jodi was with her own family. But apparently, do I need to do this? No. She was definitely like a manipulative person. She did similar things to her own family members and like other people around her. So she's had a history of doing this, which I'm like, okay. So it's not just you brought in this Franke family and started doing this to them. You've been doing this to other people. I get it. All right. Okay. All right, girl. So the 911 call. 911 call. I'm pretty sure that was like last summer that they got called for this, because oh my god. So one of the sons. So this case is mostly about one son and one daughter of Ruby's, but so they were in Jodi Hildebrandt's home, and the son had escaped. Yes, escaped. Run to a neighbor, looking like malnourished, looking like there were obvious signs of there were injuries, but also like duct tape. It looked like he had been bound with duct tape on his hands and feet. So the neighbor was just like sounded like he was about to cry. I'm like, yeah, that's the normal reaction. It's not normal to do this to your kid. And then that's how they got caught, right? But yeah, I finally saw their guilty plea shit. And, I mean, it's not... Well, most of it wasn't surprising. I mean, it wasn't... Okay, no. It wasn't surprising that they would admit to this, because it's very obvious that they did, right? But also, this means that they won't have a trial if they're just admitting to it, right? I'm sure there was, like... It's a plea deal, so they also... How do I explain this? They originally were charged with 6 counts, but they cut out 2 of them for each. So now they're being charged both with 4 counts of child abuse. The 2 that were dropped were related to starvation, which I'm like, oh my god, why? That's also important. But if it was part of a deal, then I'm like, okay, this is in exchange for them fully admitting to things so that they don't have a trial. Which, honestly, it would have been so funny if they did have a trial and they just, like, the prosecution came out in their opening statement just roasting the both of them. But, you know, can't have everything, right? So for the guilty pleas, they're both pretty similar because they admitted to, like, physically and emotionally abusing them or letting the other person abuse the kids, basically, right? They both admitting to making the kids do, like, physical labor and this was during the summer. So this covers, I forgot the exact dates, but it was like May something to August something, so it's about like a 3 months or whatever, all of summer, right? This is specifically during the summer, making them do physical labor out in the sun with inadequate amounts of water, right? Sometimes no shoes, No, no water, no shoes. Like, okay. The only differences between them, it was like specific things that they did to like abuse specific, like either or of the children. But oh my god, so with Ruby, it was mostly about her son, right? And dude, I already thought it was bad. So like I already thought the stuff that she did while she only had her channel was bad enough, right? But this, oh my god, it was worse than I thought. Holy shit. So, oh, they also did like wall sits. So if you're Asian, right? Because you know I'm also like Korean. Like if you had Asian parents, you know the punishment where you sit, like pretend you're sitting on a chair with your back against the wall, and you got to do that for hours, right? I mean, we also had like the frog jumping thing where you hold your ears and you squat and jump for hours, or you hold a heavy textbook above your head for hours. But that's not what happened. I think for them it was just a wall sitting, and then they also had to carry like heavy shit up and down the stairs, but like this is also general physical labor, right? Hold on, let me just double check. It's that way. I've been doing this for years. I should know. But yeah, the building's also right there. But that's for both of them, right? For Ruby specifically, it was mostly about her son, where she would kick him while she was wearing boots. I mean, the fact that you're kicking your child to begin with, right? There was also where, I think this applied to both children, but it was mentioned in this one where she would make him, so like the food that she would give him is really bland, just not very nutritional stuff like basic rice and chicken. But it's one thing if you give everyone that and that's what that's just the meal for the day, but everyone else would eat really normal nice stuff, and only like whoever's being punished would eat that. You know what I'm talking about? So it's clearly a punishment. I don't know if he had to literally watch everyone else eat that, but that's still sad. Like, you know everyone else is eating nice stuff and you're sitting here eating just plain rice and chicken. Please come back, I hate you all. But that's like the not as bad shit. Like, there was also him being handcuffed. I mean, both the kids were bound. But apparently, so I think it was in July. I didn't know he had like another, like he attempted to escape once already. But in July, he tried to escape and they caught him, right? So what did they do? They started binding him. They started handcuffing him. And like the handcuffs would like cut into his skin. It was like both the hands and feet. And he would get wounds from being bound, right? So what did they do? In the plea, it says, quote unquote, homeopathic remedies. But those remedies, from what I hear, were, I can't believe this, cayenne pepper and honey, like with honey. So I'm like, you're telling me into this child's wounds, you're putting a combination of not just regular pepper, but like
every journey has its
Zhongli,
final
please.
day. Don't rush.
Like cayenne pepper and honey, which I had to look this up. Like honey, okay, maybe. Like I've seen people say that like honey like has healing I don't fucking know. It's food. I don't use that to heal my wounds. I use it in my food. I eat that shit. Like I don't get it, but okay. But the pepper?
Osmanthus wine.
Zhongli, please. The pepper though? You can't, and like that's already bad enough, right? But they would, instead of putting like let's say they really wanted to use this as like quote unquote remedy, there's no gauze, no like band-aid, no. They sealed that shit with duct tape and then put the handcuffs over it again. Oh my fucking god, it's so bad. And that I thought was bad enough because I didn't know they used actual handcuffs. I thought it was just duct tape, which is already bad. Like just duct tape. I don't know if I can explain this well, but so both his hands and feet are handcuffed, right? Not Jodi. Ruby would take, she would tie the two handcuffs together, like behind him. So your back would be bent like backwards, right? And your hands and feet would be tied all together behind you. Like, and I remember thinking, like, what the fuck is he, a roasted pig? Like, what the fuck? That's so messed up. But, like, as if that wasn't bad enough, right? No, it gets worse. It got worse. And I was like, how does it get worse? No. So she, oh my god, she admitted to holding her son's head in the water and also covering his nose and mouth and smothering him. And I was like, I remember thinking, isn't this just attempted murder? Like, you know what happens when you are, that's suffocation, and then also drowning to a kid. Like, you have to know he might die. What the fuck? Oh my god, it's so bad. But also, I think I forgot to mention, like, when I was talking about the general stuff that they did to both the kids, but there was also, because they're, I don't even want to believe that this was really for religious reasons, but they were making the kids believe that they were, like, evil and possessed, and, like, everything's their fault because they're such sinners, which is, oh my god, it's so disgusting. Especially as kids, like, imagine, because you don't know any better, right? So you're gonna think, well, you're gonna believe it because it's your mother that's telling you this, but also that the reason is religious, is coming from a church, it's coming from God, who is, like, a higher power, so, like, oh my god, it's God, it has to be a credible source, right? Like, you're gonna believe it, it's just so bad. Oh my god, I can't. These poor kids. But that was Ruby's and her son's. Now, again, they're both mostly the same. I think the difference with Jodi was that, and there was a few things that came out about what she did to the daughter as opposed to the son. But with the daughter, the thing that stood out to me about that was the fact that she made the daughter, and the daughter's younger, by the way. I think the daughter was 9 when this was happening. The son was, they said, 11 to 12. Which
Where
I'm like,
do you want to go next?
Don't leave, please.
If you'd like to see
Don't leave, please. The son was 11 to 12, meaning his age changed in the middle of this, aka he had to spend his birthday being tortured, maybe? Like, if this was happening for 3 months and his birthday was during all this, that's even more depressing. But yeah, like, she would make, no, Jodi, right? This is Jodi's guilty plea. She would make the daughter jump into a cactus multiple times. Like, I don't quite get that one. That one's just so, what? Sit. Why is that an option here? Why would you want to do this? To look at this? Whatever. Like, what a bizarre, I mean, that's horrible, but it was just a weird, oh, there's one here. It was such a weird, random punishment that I was just like, I don't know, it's more confusing than anything. But of course, similarly, she admitted to, like, the physical labor out in the sun, no water, no shoes, but also this resulted in, like, sunburns, of course, the poor children's skin. But again, similar stuff, the whole binding thing, like, you know, treating them with, quote-unquote, like, pepper and honey. Now, for all these heinous things that they did to their children, this literal physical, mental, emotional torture, right? What did they get? What was the sentencing for these bitches, right? It was a range of 1 to 15 years. So we didn't even get a definite number. So, and it was, at least it was consecutive. But that was already part of the plea, that they would agree to it being consecutive as opposed to concurrent. Which, if it was concurrent, I would have absolutely lost my mind. Like, I'm already not happy with the sentencing, but, like, so consecutive, so that would be 4 counts, minimum of 4 years. Which 4 years is nothing for what these absolute bitches did to these poor children. Especially with Jodi having, like, a history of being, even if it wasn't physically abusive, just, like, mentally, emotionally abusive, controlling, manipulative to everyone around her. Like, really? And the maximum is 15. But we all know people never really get the maximum unless, like, even if they kill someone, people usually don't get, you know what I mean? But I just, oh my god, it's just really frustrating. But also the whole, like, what is it, the religious aspect of this, which I'm very, I mean, religious extremism does make you do, like, this level of insane stuff. But from what what I saw, Jodi wasn't even like, cause I think it was after her that Ruby started getting, or agreeing to physical torture, which doesn't, like, she's not off the hook with me at least, even if, cause they made it sound like, was it Ruby's, lawyer who said this, where Ruby was, the vibe was basically Ruby was a very nice, caring person, blah blah blah, and it was under Jodi's influence that she became like this. And I'm like, well, no, she was a manipulative narcissist from the very beginning. You can see from her YouTube channel the way she talks to and treats and punishes her children are still pretty abusive. It's not that Jodi took a good person and made her bad. She took a bad person and made her worse, is what I think. So there's no excuse for Ruby here. I have absolutely no sympathy for this bitch. It's just that I have even less sympathy for Jodi because she started introducing the physical torture, right? Apparently in the name of religion, but again, and this is what I was trying to get to, is apparently she doesn't even agree with the church, and she's one of those people who's just like, oh, the church doesn't know what's up, but I do. What I say is the truth. You have to listen to me. Which is sounding very just culty. And as someone who is Korean American, I am very familiar with how fucked up religious cults can get. Koreans had some fucked up shit. Like, I know. But I also just hate it, like, anytime, not just this case, but anytime people are saying, or not just saying, but doing shit, like, especially torturing people like this, anyone, not just their kids, in the name of God, just pisses me off so much. Because, like, again, I'm a very different form of Christian from LDS, and so I don't know if this is a normal LDS thing. I mean, not the torture part, but just, like, the whole concept of trying to make your kids repent and make them feel like they're sinful and punishing them, even if it's not physical punishment, like taking away food or any of this kind of, I don't know if that's normal. Like, please tell me, if you're LDS, tell me if that's normal. Because our neighborhood, we do have a lot of different types of Christians, and not just Christians, but like other religions as well, right? I don't think I've passed by an LDS church in our neighborhood. So I don't know, and I personally don't know anyone who is. So please let me know if that's anywhere close to normal or in your teachings or anything like that. But yeah, what I was trying to get at is, in our church, so like I said I grew up around like abuse and everything, right? But that's not because it was in the name of the church. That's like the one good part about it, that it wasn't. It was because, again, I brought up the fact that I'm Asian, because, you know, Asian parents, you've seen all the jokes and shit in the videos being made about, like, if Asian parents and, like, their abuse and whatever, which is all true. It's all true. Like, we laugh about it now because we're adults, but it was true. It was horrible back then. Like, some of us got broken bones, you know what I mean? So, but it was because of that, because we were being raised by old-timey Asian people who thought physical punishment was how you're supposed to raise your kids, right? But never was it in the name of church. If anything, specifically our church was like, you have to respect all the other religions, and the number one rule out of all the commandments is love God. Because if you love God, then you'll love everyone and treat everyone with respect, right? If you love God, then you will automatically follow all the other 10 commandments, was the way I was taught, right? And loving your, I mean, like, there was a thing about respecting your parents, but there was nothing said in church about if you don't respect your parents, then they're allowed to beat your ass. There was nothing about that. I mean, that was believed by at least like the Asian parents, but even the non-religious ones would do this, so it wasn't really strictly a religious thing. Oh shit, fly please. But yeah, we never had that. We were mostly just like, to the best of your ability, just like try and respect God's children, because we're all supposed to be, you know, like equal children in the eyes of God, so we should treat each other as family. And also, we're not supposed to judge whether or not someone is going to heaven or hell, because that's not our job, that's God's job, right? So like I'm all for calling out other Christians when they pull bullshit like this. And also like now that I mentioned like the whole heaven and hell thing, this has nothing to do with the case, by the way. But you know, like the really hateful Christians who are always like, you're gonna go to hell, blah blah blah. Well, I guess this kind of relates to this as well, because these bitches were like, oh, you're gonna basically like you're sinful, you're gonna go to hell if you don't repent. You know, children, if you don't repent now. So I guess it kind of relates. But yeah, anytime someone is like, oh, you're gonna go to hell, I'm like, you can't say that. Because you don't know that. Because it is not our job to judge where someone is going after death. And we don't know. So we can't say. What we can say is what's happening on Earth right now while we're still alive. And I say you're being a complete fucking asshole. Like, do not treat your children like that. That's not, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know. It can't be just our church, right? Like, there has to be other churches out there who don't teach you to abuse other people and, like, be manipulative. It can't, like, I don't believe it. Oh, right. Also, I almost forgot, during the sentencing, I might as well do this now. Oh my god. So, both these bitches got to, like, actually talk during the whole sentencing process, right? And dude, Ruby just like started listing off, and like I would put like video here, but the audio for that sentencing video was just so bad, like, but excuse me, no, I was here first, fuck you. But yeah, so Ruby went first, right? She started, it was long with, okay, when I say that everyone thought she was at the, I need to go to the map, right, don't I? At the Oscars, accepting an award or something, like, this was some kind of award speech. Like, I thought that when I first heard her talking, and everyone in the comments was also, like, saying the same thing. Because she was listing off names, like, thank you, this person, I'm sorry to this person, I'm thinking, I was like, where does she think she is right now, right? But then there was like one person in the comments who was like, oh, what if she's listing names specifically? Because she wasn't just like, I'm sorry to my family, I'm sorry, like, she could have kept it concise. She could have just said, I'm sorry to family, and I thank all my lawyers, blah, blah, instead of listing names. But someone was like, what if she's listing names so that, like, Jodi's followers go after them? And I'm like, well, if that's true, that's fucked up. Like, I hope not, but I wouldn't put anything past her, right? But that was her little statement thing. Jodi, when she talked, the first thing she said was like, I love these children. And I said, fuck that and fuck you. You don't get to say that you love these children after, especially you, like, you're the one here that has, like, the history, right? Of like, torturing and abusing people just all around you. You're the one ruining everyone around you. How dare you say you love anyone? Like, this, oh my god. But also, like, oh, I'm sorry, I like dazed off. I mean, Ruby said this too. I was about to start talking about what Jodi said. But Ruby was also like, oh, I'm taking accountability, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, because, well, at this point you have to. You're going to prison for sure. You have no choice but to. So I'm not accepting any of that. And I remember thinking, if I was, and this is just me, right? I can't speak for any of her kids or any other person who's been in, like, any abusive household situation, right? This is just me. But and it's because I'm a really, like, angry, petty, confrontational, combative person at heart, despite all my anxiety. Like, if I didn't have my anxiety, I'd be unchecked. Like, but, dude, if I was her kid, I would not want to hear any of it. I don't even want to hear you say you're sorry, that you're taking accountability, how bad you feel. Fuck you. You are a grown adult and you know what you did. Go rot in jail. Prison, right? But with Jodi, you know, she said, oh, I love the kids. And then her lawyer came out, like, you know, when the lawyers are outside and they're talking to the press and they make a statement or whatever. But the lawyer was also talking about how Jodi's taking responsibility for what she's done and for her conduct and she loves the kid. Well, like, no, she doesn't. No, she does not. But also, like, one of the things that really annoyed me, right, was, I don't know if anyone was talking about the fact that Ruby was messed up before she met Jodi. You know what I mean? Because she kept talking about how, like, they're kind of blaming Jodi for all this. Which gave me, oh, now that reminds me, that was giving me the vibe of, like, you know when manipulators will admit to a smaller thing, or point fingers, right? Hold on, let me just get, because I'm gonna be, I don't want anyone interrupting, but. So, Ruby's doing this guilty plea, right? She's admitting to these horrible things, right? But then at the same time, it's basically going, Jodi's worse though. And like, I wouldn't be this way. I wouldn't have done these horrible things if it weren't for her. And I'm like, okay, even if that's true, right? You were already, again, a manipulative narcissist during your YouTube days before you met Jodi. You were already a horrible parent. So this isn't about you, like, going through rehabilitation, because they talked about rehabilitation as well, reforming yourself to who you were before Jodi. No, you have to reform. Like, we have to get rid of the system that is your whole entire personality and build you from the ground up again or something, because this is, like, you as a person. As a whole, your whole entire personality is fucked up. Everything about you. Like, it's not just about undoing Jodi's influence. It's undoing you. We have to talk about you as a everything. Like, I don't know. It's just that part really annoyed me. Like, are we not going to talk about her before she met Jodi? Okay. I mean, out of these two bitches, I guess Ruby does have a slightly better chance of, like, changing if she did. Because she was, I don't know if she was doing this to anyone else in her life, but if it was just, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable giving her any leeway. It's just like, at the end of the day, it's not that you were better than Jodi. You're bad. It's just that Jodi was worse. That's not the same thing, right? I also want to, like, being better than someone is not the same as someone being worse. Does that make sense? Because that makes it sound like Jodi's the base level of, like, quote unquote evil here, and Ruby's better, therefore she's not evil, she's good. But, like, that's not what this is. Ruby is evil. It's just that Jodi's even more evil. And then there was, like, the whole thing of, I remember this part, like, people putting kind of Kevin, who is Ruby's husband, under fire for not checking on his kids, right? Checking on his kids, knowing what's going on. Because, again, he wasn't allowed to have any contact with them while he was separated from Ruby. Which, I'm like, oh, it's kind of hard, because if he was so used to, and this is just me assuming because I don't know, right? I'm just assuming that he was so used to being under her control, because while he did participate with her in the punishment, the weird punishments that they would give their children, it was really clear that Ruby was the leader there, right? She was the boss, right? So if he was really used to being kind of her lackey, basically, her little punishment lackey, he would listen to everything that she says. So even if he thought something was wrong, he probably would not dare to go against her, maybe. And that's being really, like, giving him the benefit of the doubt. The other side would be, he just kind of was, like, neglectful, which would be really bad. I don't know. If it was me, and again, this is just me, because I'm very petty, if I knew how abusive she was, and I myself was never, like, I never wanted to punish the kids, but she was making me do so, and now I'm away from her, and I don't have to act like that anymore, because she's not controlling me. But the kids are with her, like, God knows what she's doing when I'm not there, right? Like, she is, like, super, super free to do whatever she wants to the kids, and I can't see the kids, and I have no idea what's going on. I'd be so worried. But, like, I don't know what's going on in his head. We don't know that. So, like, he does, have some responsibility for what happened before Jodi, for sure. But when it comes to him, I'm not completely on one side or the other. He's not off the hook at all for me, though. Like, you're still the dad. But I'm just, like, not focusing on him as much as these bitches here. very short, very, you know, kind of talking about them while I kind of do almost nothing in this game. So in order to de-stress, I'm gonna just have some donuts and some tuna. Wait, no, not at the same time. That's not what I mean.